guys, my name's Dean and I'm the manager here at Brighton Chrysler Jeep, and what we're going to do here for you today is we're going to give you a virtual drive in a 300c, just so that everybody knows what they're looking for when they're shopping on the internet. Now here's the engine, folks. They run these big covers on them. Unfortunately, there's not much you can see underneath them because these covers actually serve a purpose. They're what you call a heat shield. As you can see, this car here is actually one of our demos, and this car's travelled, I would say, in the vicinity of about 1,500 k's. Still brand new under here, thanks to these things here. You know, all the heat shielding that the vehicles have got. Serves two purposes. Keeps the car nice and clean, and it also deadens the sound. So when you're driving the vehicle, you don't have that induction, that thrust noise that an engine would normally make. As you can see here, it says 3 litre, and that's the CRD, and the CRD standing for common rail diesel. Most of the diesels nowadays run the common rail in them, as it's the most efficient form of diesel feeding that you can have. It is actually a turbo diesel as well, so it's no slouch when it comes to power. As you'll all see when we go on our test drive, gives you the best of both worlds. Great on fuel economy and excellent on power as well. Here we are actually inside the vehicle now. They've got a key like that one there, which most of you would look at and say, wow, how does that work? It's actually a key that's got a microchip in it. Very good for theft. If someone doesn't actually have this key, they won't be able to start the vehicle because the key talks to the ECU unit, which is the computer unit of the vehicle. Another thing that I like about these cars is that they've actually thought about putting the ignition on the left-hand side. The whole idea of that is so that when you're getting in and out of the car, you're not bumping your leg on the keys. So it's quite good. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you're used to it, you won't like it any other way. Okay, folks, now we're going to run through the heater. What we've got here is quite a simple, basic setup here. You've got split controls so that either person can control the temperature that they have coming out of their vents. You've got, just by turning the dial, you can adjust the temperature on either side. You've got your fan control here. You've got the auto control in there as well. And what that actually does is it's a climate control. Most of us know how to use it, but for those of us that don't, what you do is you set the temperature on your climate control, and what it does is it keeps the cabin at that temperature. So if I were to set it at, say, 20 degrees, what would happen is the heater would, or the fan, you would hear it switching itself on and off as it's adjusting itself to the temperature of the cabin. Quite good. This is your directional switch here. Once again, if you're going to be running the auto, which is your climate control, you've got to have this one on auto as well. That's the only way it will work, and you've got to have your air conditioner on. You'll know when that's on because if I was to turn that on, turn our fan on, actually we'll start him up, turn that on and turn our fan on, you can see the little light illuminating. Okay, there it is there, that's for our air conditioner. And here we've got control of our rear window demister, and that's our recirculation for our air conditioner. Okay, you might be able to hear the fan picking up as I turn it up and down. That's your fan speed. As we move down again once, for a bit more comfort for the drivers, you've got seat heaters for both the front seats. Yeah, they're split controls. Obviously the two lights being illuminated gives you full heat. You can have half heat, or you don't have to run it at all, and they're separate, so you don't have to be running both the heat seaters to be running your seat heaters. Okay, folks, what about if we go for a drive now and see how one of these babies actually performs? Off we go. Plenty of power as we take off. Gets up to cruising speed quite easily. Now guys, we're travelling at 80 k's at the moment, just on 80 k's, and the engine's turning at around about 1600 RPM. if I pick the speed up now to get us to say 90, between 90 and 100 k's, we're still sitting under that 2000 RPM. If I was to reset my fuel meter, you'd find that when you're out on a highway, you can get these vehicles down around between that sort of 8 and 10 litres per 100 kilometres. And when the time comes and you need to pull out and overtake somebody, they certainly don't have too much drama doing it. Quite an enjoyable ride, quite a well built all round vehicle. Go guys, let's try and give her a little bit of a push. As you can see, I'm half throttling the car now. Effortlessly, I'm up to 60 kilometres an hour and making my way up to 80 kilometres an hour. As you can see by the traffic that we're feeding through at the moment, we certainly have no dramas doing it. The car has got plenty of power, actually power to spare. The power figures that these things produce are equivalent to a lot of petrol vehicles nowadays. The torque figures that they have, they are in the vicinity of over 400 Newton meters. And the Newton meters and the torque figures are the things that actually count when it comes to a diesel, because that's the vehicle's ability to pull a load if you need to pull a load. So if you're loading the vehicle up, put the 5 adults in the car, you won't feel the weight that you've got in the vehicle. If you decide you want to put a tow bar on the back of it and pull a trailer, box trailer, horse float, whatever it may be, the vehicle certainly doesn't struggle when it's time for it to do something like that. Not only do these vehicles have plenty of power, quiet, nice and comfortable to drive, they boast a heap of safety features which, in the event where they need to be used, are certainly going to protect the people that are in the car. We've got driver and passenger airbag, nice big airbags for the size of the car. You've got the pillar airbags, which most of you will know as curtain airbags. So you've got an airbag there, an airbag in the rear pillar to protect the rear people, and you've also got seat airbags as well, and these deploy around the bottom section of the doors. So what you'll actually have is, if the glass was to shatter, the passengers, the drivers, all the people in the vehicle would be protected from any shattering glass. So if we were to count the airbags, you've got the 2 front ones, 2 seat is 4, 2 pillar is 6, and the rear ones are 8 airbags. 8 airbags, a lot of safety. They do have a 5-star NCAP safety rating, so there's one thing that's for sure, guys, you're certainly going to be safe riding in a vehicle like this. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed our virtual test drive of a 300c. If there's anything else that you'd like to know about the vehicle, please don't hesitate to come down and see us at Brighton Chrysler Jeep, and we can organise a test drive of one of these babies just for you.
Saturday morning and it's time to go. One of these could be the days, but who could have known? Loading in the back of a pickup truck, riding with the boys and pushing the luck.